A police shooting and top-secret emails are dominating the news this week. Time for the most comprehensive 4 minutes of TV news. The Fox 4 with talk show host Ben Ferguson. We can't deliver 4 minutes of news without you, Ben, apparently.
We can try here, though. Let's go.
Okay. All right, let's start with Arlington. The police shooting, yesterday's firing of rookie officer Brad Miller. Two distinct sides here, some in the middle, of course, but some say the firing isn't enough, and some say the firing was a rush to judgment. You fall in there somewhere?
I think it's an incredible rush to judgment. This was a police chief that I honestly think should be embarrassed, who came out worried too much that this might turn into some sort of Ferguson instead of actually looking at making sure that there was real due diligence and transparency in what may have actually happened. You cannot do this in 4 days. The other thing that also is embarrassing is the mayor of Arlington called this an accident.
Yeah, I just heard that.
Yeah, this is not and this is the part where political correctness has reached a level of insanity. There's two things here. One, if this was a 19-year-old white guy that would have broken in, we wouldn't even be talking about this tonight because people wouldn't have felt sorry for him. But because he was 19, we all of a sudden say, oh, well, it's a teenager. When you're 19 years old, you're the best specimen of probably your entire life. You are the most physical you're probably ever going to be, and you are a threat to police officers. He obviously knew what he was doing. He broke a lock, he got in, he drove a car through a window. For goodness sakes, that to me is not an unarmed, innocent human being. It also is not, as the mayor put it, an accident. Right. That was a deliberate felony in place, in progress, and for the mayor to come out and say it was an accident, I can't imagine wearing a badge in Arlington or what their next recruiting class is going to look like if they literally call someone that's in the act of a felony an accidental situation.
You know what, Ben? I think that is not going to fly with either side, right? That calling it an accident of people who are defending the young man, they're not going to say that's an accident either. So that's a poor choice of words. I'm curious to see if the mayor tries to clean that up.
I hope he does, because mayors shouldn't say things like that. And I think this all goes back to really Ferguson. There are so many people that are behind these desks that aren't living in reality. There are criminals, and this man was a criminal in a criminal act that ran at a police officer and continued to charge a police officer after he was shot.
I want to go back to something you said, and I think you kind of missed it, though. The chief, he fired his officer basically for performance, not following guidelines, not following training. I mean, you can do that. He was in a probationary period. He did not fire him because he shot and killed this individual. He fired him because he didn't follow protocol, and that's his prerogative, right?
Well, again, did he fire him because he was a rookie and it was an easy way to cover your rear end, or did he fire him because the police officer wasn't doing his job? Many police officers would say it is really easy to act as if we're going to have a meeting when there's a felony in progress. Hey, everybody gather around. Let's talk about the procedures here. That's not reality. This was a real-life situation, life and death, where you have an individual that's committing a felony. You don't get to huddle up and say, here are what our options are, A, B, and C, because of what the manual says on page 13A.
Well, it's funny. That's exactly what the chief said they should have done. They should have backed out. They should have called in more people, and that's what they should have done.
And now I know why the chief is behind a desk and not out in the streets at 1 o'clock in the morning trying to find a guy that has broken into a car dealership that you don't know whether he has a gun on him or not, but we do know he had no problem breaking in, cutting a lock, and driving a car through a window.
All right, hey, so I can't help but think body cameras would have answered a lot of questions. Could have made Officer Miller look worse than described. Could have made him look better, I suppose.
Well,
right?
look, this is another example of where a body camera would have done a lot of good for the community. We can afford them. Why we don't have them yet is beyond me. Everybody watching right now, guess what? Every community you're in, they can't afford these body cameras. Look at the taxes and look at where they waste and spend money on insane projects. I can point to probably a couple football stadiums, but let's not go there. The moral of the story is
cameras. All right, I got that.
We need them.
If you're going to say anything about Hillary Clinton, we got about 15 seconds.
I would hate to be her today.
What?
The feds have got her server, and she lied and said she didn't have top secret information on there. And guess what? They've already found 2 emails with top secret information. It's going to be a bad day for her campaign.
All right. Ben Ferguson, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Good night tonight. You can join Ben's 500,000 followers on Twitter @Ben Ferguson Show. Again, Ben Ferguson, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, man.